Who's next?
Hey, how y'all doing? Back again, another great episode of the It Factor podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have a special person. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Cydney Bowman, based in Los Angeles, and I am a former volleyball player and currently the director of hospitality for the brand consultant wing at CAA Sports. So,
Yes, indeed. So, with that being said, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally?
I appreciate that question so much. I don't think, we say it enough to each other, but I'm doing pretty well. I like to say I'm blessed and I'm honestly better than a lot of people on their worst day, right? So even on my good and bad days, I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got a workout today. This is the second day this week, so that's good.
Okay, right. Off to a good start.
Right. Work went good, so I'm cool. I'm here with you, so I'm good now. I'm just
Right? Listen, we love that. All good vibes.
Yes, indeed. So I say my first big question I started when I started the show, because it's called the It Factor. What is your It Factor? Why do you do what you do?
What is my it factor? I think your it factor changes as you grow, right? Like when I was a teenager, my it factor is probably one thing, right? My young adulthood, now my like older adult years are just so crazy to me.
Uh,
But as for like my career, I would say like I like to call myself the plug. A lot of what I do is coordinating hospitality elements for our clients, whether that's travel, whether it's restaurants, whether that's, plane, helicopter, by car, gifting, appearances, all things of that nature. And so it's my job to know where to direct them, know what makes sense, move with intentionality. And I would say just being able to be the plug and connect the dots for everyone is where I see myself most valuable and my it factor.
I love that. I love that. I say, how has your experience as a former D1 athlete, helped you in your career with your approach when it comes to leadership, relationship building, and things of that nature, with you being in the sports industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm in the sports industry because I don't know anything but sports when it comes to my background. That was very big when I started to look for jobs. I was like, I don't know what else I would do besides work in sports, right? But I grew up playing sports, was in a sports family. All my parents, uncles, they all played. But I would say it's sports has honestly shaped who I am in my professional life immensely. A lot of what I learned in sports, I'm able to apply to my career and my relationships. That goes for communication, that goes for my character, right? That goes for how my perception on different things is. That's how I go about building my corporate and non-corporate relationships. And I think a lot of that comes from the coaches that I've had, the lessons that I've learned, right? The wins, the losses, and not just on the court, but in life, right? Truly shapes you to be the person that you are. And I would say a lot of that for me is applying that to similar scenarios. And there's very rarely is there a time where I can't apply something I've learned in sports to life. And that's what keeps me going, right? A lot of the times I'll say things to my friends and they're like, you're so philosophical, you're so poetic. And I'm like, no, like I just taught this in sports and like it also applies, right? And like a lot of sports things are typically motivational quotes and things of that nature. So it's a very similar road for me. And I like that. That's what's easy for me, right? I've been that my whole life. So to stay on that track is really helpful for me to stay on top of my game.
Yeah, and that's dope because I feel the same way. My wife always asks, she didn't play sports. She was like, you just take stuff differently. I'm like, yeah, you used to have to wake up like early. Different things used to happen and
Yeah.
get certain quote, get certain, and I look back to those now. I'm like, I can do this. This ain't nothing, So I
Yeah.
think it helps me. I know it helps me in work, help me with being a husband, help me with the podcast and things like that. So you're right, And I was saying that to say, like, relationships. Why are relationships important? Like, you meet people, you don't
Mhm.
know you're gonna build out a relationship with them, but why is it important to build a relationship and build community amongst the people that you meet?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm going to take a step further and say intentional relationships are really important. And that's something I'm very big in is like just knowing someone, right, isn't enough. Like you need to be intentional about the relationship you want to have with that person, whether it's personal or professionally, right? Like, and I'm very big on mutually beneficial, right? Like all relationships need to go both ways and you got to bring something to the table at the same time. And I tend to have this conversation with a lot of people that I mentor when they're looking to be in the sports industry. They're like, I want to get out of network. I want to build a relationship with people, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, you can send someone your resume and say, hey, I applied for this job. And like, that's great and all, but like, do they know you, right? Like, do they know your strong suits? Can they naturally think of you in a room full of people when there's other opportunities on the table? Like, that's where that intentional relationship comes in. And I think people need to take it a step further and comes from your heart and care about it, right? Like, I'm always big in, I know when someone's birthday is, right? Know when they're traveling, be aware in the industry if someone, just won an award or got recognized for this. Like, those are ways to stay in touch and build real relationships that can then blossom into larger things. And then like that person becomes your friend who's referring you for a job, right? Like it's a little bit of an easier conversation. And I think my career started in sales. So I kind of was taught that, like you need to know someone on a deeper level to truly understand them. But that goes back to sports at the same time. Like I was brought up in a world of sports where like my coaches, you couldn't coach everybody the same way. You need to truly know them in order to be able to develop them. And that's the same way with relationships. You need to know people in order to further develop your relationship with them. And that takes time and it takes effort, it takes a will, it takes curiosity. All of those things are important. But in the long term, it's going to be way more mutually beneficial for both sides. And sometimes relationships don't last, right? Like you might leave a job, you might, quit a job, you might not be with this person for the rest of your life, but like all of that takes a learning curve that I think I'm still learning. You're probably still learning. A lot of people are still learning how to navigate that space. So it's forever evolving, which is nice.
Indeed, indeed. Now,
Yeah.
who are you outside of all you are known for?
Oh my gosh. See, I wish you were asked that question in reverse. I could be like a volleyball player, sports industry executive. I like to cook. I like to try, I have all the answers for that. Um, but when I'm not that person, I think I like to pride myself on being just as solid as they come. And that's for my friends and for my family. I don't do everything right in the world. I'm the first to tell people that. I'm gonna be the first to apologize. Like I do not have a big ego when it comes to that. I have a big ego when it comes to sports because I'm gonna act like I know how to bowl and I'm gonna talk a bunch of shit and not know what to do. But when it comes to, being there for my friends and family, like I love my people down to the bone. And I just always pray that I can use my blessings to be a blessing. So a lot of what I do in my career and in my life is so that I can give to the people that are in my circle and in my family. And that just, again, comes from my life experiences, kind of the dynamic that I play in not only my friendships and in my family. I take that with, a grain of salt. I have a tattoo on my arm that says heavy is the head that wears the crown. And as much as it's not easy all the time to, have certain responsibilities and, have certain people look up to you or rely on you, I pride myself on being in that position because pressure is a privilege, right? And not everyone gets it. So,
I love that. I love that.
yeah.
That's a cool answer. You don't have to talk about that you can cook, that you can work
That's
out.
what I wanted to talk about, though, right? I know how to plan a trip. I know how to, buy a really pretty gift and make it all look pretty when you give it to the person. That's my strong suit.
Right, right. That's easy though. That's easy.
Yeah. Those are all material. Yes, for sure.
I love that though. I love that. I would say, have you faced any challenges with you working in the sports industry and being a woman?
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir. Have we faced any challenges? I would say we are headed in the right direction as women in sports industry. I think I try to never answer this question like super cliche because I feel like the first answer is very common, right? Like all women in sports and being a woman of color in sports is another very common answer. But for myself, I would say outside of the typical answers, my appearance and my age tend to like be the first thing people notice about me when I walk into the room. For those who don't know me, I am 5'10". I was a former volleyball player. I work out every single day. I'm a Black woman, right? Like, so I walk into a room with a rather large presence. And then I'm also relatively young for some of the rooms that I'm in, which I'm very blessed to be in that space and I'm very aware of it. So I would say I try really hard for once I'm in a room, knowing those things about me, that my experience and my work ethic now speak in the conversation, right? Like at first glance, you probably have noticed my size, my build, what I wear, how it looks on me, and my height. And then you've probably been like, oh, she's probably not even 30 yet, right? But once I'm in the room, I make it very apparent that like my experiences that I've had and my work ethic speak for themselves. So it shifts their mentality immediately. Because I have faced moments where like I've been addressed as an intern or, like in certain settings and respectfully, like, right, love that I look so young, but like, come on. And then there's times where, of course, like I'm the only woman or this, and like I have this experience. And so there are times you need to, have a little bit of a backbone and, speak up for yourself. But I think more so let your experience and your work ethic do the talking. And then all of those thoughts are kind of not, I wouldn't say gone, but diminished a little bit more. Um, so yeah, and then I would say it goes back to your network as well. Like once you start having conversations and people know you and are familiar with your work and what you've done and seen you here and seen you there, you don't have anything to speak on, right? Like it's just known about you. And I think that's what the beauty is when you do become successful in the industry is like, I don't have to tell you where I've been in my career. I don't have to tell you what I've done. Like you already know, right? And like that's how you know that like you've actually made it in a sense on proving what you can and cannot do in a room.
You're definitely right about that. So, like, when you sent me your bio, because I ask everybody, I don't care if you're the greatest athlete. I know I still ask, hey, yeah, let me see your bio, because I
Yeah.
like to kind of play off how I'm gonna write questions, because it's gonna be dialogue. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, we gonna have a good conversation.
Right.
Cool.
Regardless.
But like, I was sitting there and I was reading, no, mom, because she worked for Cleveland Browns, worked Cavs and did this, she worked over here, she did that, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
she's a director. I said, that's what she's supposed to be. That's what she's supposed to be, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I was cool. I was so happy because I was like, I'm thankful that you came around. Like I have seen you and was able to meet you because the things you're doing are inspirational. They're needed, and you're breaking and changing the narrative. And that's what we all about here at the Effect Podcast. So I commend you for what you're doing. It's not going on unnoticed, you know, and you're making a great stride at what you're doing, and you're young.
I am. I am. It's so crazy that like I did when I before I moved to LA, I had like goals on my list, right? Like I was like by 25, I want to do this, and like by 30, by this. And I was like, when I got this job, it was very like I like cried when I got the job. It's a whole long story, but I don't really cry ever. And when I do, it's probably like once a year over a guy, right? One of those things. So but one of the goals was I want to be a director by the age of 30. And so like I got this role when I was 27 years old, which I am, astonished about and I was so appreciative of, but I was just like, wow, like it's just so fulfilling to actually achieve a small goal like that, which it could mean nothing to anybody, right? Like it's not like I was like, oh, I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 30, which like that's a very right uncommon, sometimes in our world, but like to just have a title and like some people like titles don't mean anything, but like I set this little bitty goal of like I'm gonna move to LA and I'm gonna make it work and I want to be this and like to be early on a goal like that is just that's probably one of the most proudest moments I've ever had. And like granted, it comes with a lot more responsibility. It comes with, a larger chip on my shoulder at the age that I am to hold these responsibilities and being in the rooms that I'm in. But I'm very appreciative of it. And I'm thankful that you even noticed that, like that's something that was such a big check off my list that I was like, oh, I love this. I finally made it, even though we have much more room to go. But at the time, it was very, very rewarding.
Indeed, look, and you living up to your tattoo. So every time you look at it, you like, yep, I'm doing it. Okay, cool. We got this.
uh, yes,
You know,
it's small little reminders like that.
indeed, indeed. So I'll say, like, how was it though? You worked for the Cleveland Browns, the
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Cavaliers. What have been some of
Home
your
team.
you know, own team? Like, that's cool, man. Like, what were some of your most funnest moments, and how was it? Like, dang, I really worked for them. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it was, of course, very cool.
Hmm.
Those were the first two jobs. So I worked with them at the same time when I graduated college. I took the summer off. My mom was living in Cleveland. So I moved back home. I was like, where can I have free rent? So that was where we went home with my mom. And I was like, I'm going to give myself a year. So I had two different jobs, one with the Cavs, which was like events and entertainment. And the other was in communications with the Browns. And for me, it was just like early in my career, let me see what I like, what I don't like. I was able to do both at the time because it was, not very much of this. So it was like, we got to do both. Okay. So we did both. And I was like, I'm just going to network and meet somebody new every week. I'm going to figure out what they do. Like, and then whatever like lane propels me a little bit more, like, we'll just go that route. But I'm not from Cleveland. My mom was living in Cleveland. So I didn't like grow up with friends there or like have any long-term relationships and like childhood memories there. But obviously, like those are Cleveland's teams, right? Like they ride or die for the Browns and the Cavs immensely, right? If you've been there. And unfortunately, Braun had just left. So like I missed him by a couple months, I think, in Cleveland. So that was kind of like our year. And then we're not going to talk about the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. They're going to always be the Browns, right?
Right.
So for me, I quickly everyone was like, oh my God, you work for the Browns and you do this. And like, I was 21 years old. I had tickets to every game to give my family. Like I was coming home with gear that I got discount on and I would give them a Christmas gifts. Like if you live in my family, you probably have every single gear from the Cavs known to mankind and the Browns because you got it for your birthday, you got it for Christmas,
Hmm.
all of that. Like that was my gift. And I think that was so cool for me to be that young, and like I was got go to every single game, and like there's what 42 home games in the NBA, and my mom could bring her friends and my cousin, and I would bring my friends sometimes, and I was like the cool friend, and like I would know the guys, and we'd like maybe see them out, one night, or like we'd be here. And so it was so cool for me. And it's funny now that I look back and I'm like, I couldn't imagine going to 42 home games like every like weeknights, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, being at the game, working a full day. Like it just is such a different shift of a career for me that like at the time I think is such a great opportunity for people who are young because you're in grind mode, right? You want to be in the scene, you want to know everybody, you want to be everywhere, you don't want to miss out.
Right.
I think an opportunity is every single turn and twist there is. So to be there and have that opportunity was amazing. I think if anything, it helped me. It was super informative, right? I was able to learn how to build corporate relationships, which are very different than building personal relationships, than building, college relationships. I had to make friends in a city I didn't grow up in. I was like, it's weird making friends and being 22 years old. Like, do I ask this girl to lunch? Do I like, that's weird to me, where like I grew up and I was always on a team and it was like, I lived with my teammates in college, right? Everyone was just there for me. So like those little things were something that I had to learn and figure out. And so I think that's what it taught me, if anything, like what I liked and didn't like in the industry. Like I don't think I'd been in communication since I left the Browns, right? Like, do I know how to, draft up a PR? Yes. But like, do I want to be in communications? No, I figured that out very quickly. It's not really my lane, right? Like I like the event side, and basketball was indoors, the Browns were out. There was so many things that I got to learn about like my life in the industry and what I wanted out of this career. So I think if anything was the most informative time of my life. I was there for about 3 years with both teams, essentially. I will say the nice part about football is they play 8 home games. I think at the time it was like 7 or 6, right? Like so it was Sundays like routine. I knew what I was doing versus basketball is like 42 home games. So very different there, but I would say it's a very informative experience when you work in the teams and then especially working for two to be able to compare them.
That's cool. That's cool. And I'd say like what brings you true happiness and
Yeah.
peace? And peace.
I would say alignment is probably the word that comes to mind.
Mhm.
And I mean that in like all aspects of life. I think alignment in your personal relationships, right? Like where you want to go, what your views are, your morals, what motivates you. Alignment in your career, right? If you're not going to work every day and it doesn't align with something that you have a passion about, like it's daunting, it's exhausting, you're not going to want to do it, right? So like having alignment there. And I think for me, and you as an athlete can probably recognize, I am a habit creature of habit, right? Like I'm very routine. I tell my friends all the time, you could probably stalk me because I do everything the same way every day, every weekend. I go to the same grocery store. I go to this, like I buy the same stuff. I lay out my workout clothes. I make pre-workout in the morning. I'm like a robot, right? So being aligned naturally in my daily life,
Yeah.
me at peace. Like if I don't work out, like I feel like I've forgotten to do something for the day unless I'm like sick, right? Or like even traveling, like everyone knows this about me. I don't like to travel on Sundays when I got to go to work on Monday. It's too much going on. Like I don't want to come home on Sunday night at 8 p.m. and got to be in the office. Like it's too much for me. Like I like to come home, I like to unpack. I like my house to be clean. I like to have groceries. And then I want to go to work on Monday, right? Like I will if I have to, but like those little things to me, like keep me level headed and keep me aligned in the other areas of my life. And then full circle, if those are ever off, something else is going to be off, right? Like if my alignment in my career is a little off, I'm probably going to be anxious over here. Or like my personal life is probably going to give a little bit. Or if I'm traveling a lot in my job, obviously my personal life is going to give. So like just having alignment across career, my personal life, my health, my mental, my financial, all of those things lumped in one, my spiritual is what probably keeps me at my most peace. I would say I probably have like 4 days out of the month where I probably feel that, in totality. We're working on that, but I would say that's the goal, right?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I have a few more questions.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so what does your day look like as a director at CAA? Like, what do your day look like or week look like? How about that? Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm in LA, so usually it's bright and sunny, thankfully.
mm,
I try to always, I'm a morning workout person. So I get up, usually if I can be up by like 4:35, I'm in the gym by 5:30. Um, out of the gym by 7:30, and then I'm in the office by like 9ish on a good day.
Mhm.
They bring bagels on Tuesdays, so I'm always here on Tuesdays. And then my day to day, long story short, I tell people I take wealthy and important people to Formula One races. What that means is essentially some of our brands have partnerships with McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull, whoever it may be, and they receive all these assets through the partnership. And most of those assets might be 20 tickets to the Paddock Club suite for the London race, right, which is Silverstone. It's my job to then say, okay, how do we utilize these assets? There's going to be 20 people that are going to come, or are there 10 people with a plus one, right? Where are they going to stay? I have to scout hotels. If that means I have to go to London and check off a few of my lists, if that means I have to call the London office and see what they recommend, and then I have to book the rooms. Most of them are probably flying private, right? So like working with their EAs and what their jets look like, their travel manifest, planning a private dinner when they all get in, right? The group's going to want to come together. So I got to scout the restaurants. How far is it from the hotel? Do we need transportation? Most of the time it's sprinters or black cars, right? Amenity kits in the car because, you know, there needs to be waters. Sometimes they only drink Fiji. Sometimes they only drink Diet Coke, right? Is there some sort of a gift that we want to give them when they arrive? So maybe that's a custom Louis Vuitton bag with their initials on it, right? I have to work with the hotel. We have that gifted, we have it packaged, placed in their hotel room, right? All of those little things is something that my team would do essentially for said race and the assets and for the company. So that's what it looks like. So I could be doing anything any day. And then, of course, we go and we take them there. So a lot of it is pre-planning, budgeting, scouting. The nice part is a lot of the races are rinse and repeat. So we can do, you know, London, I kind of know the realm, right? Like the race is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So typically you helicopter your guest into the actual race because it's about 2.5, 3 hours outside of London, right? Every year I know that. So I can kind of be like, okay, if we can afford it, if the brand can afford it, it makes sense to fly them in, right? If not, we got to figure out where we're going to stay. And so all those little tiny things that just happen essentially is what my team does. So yeah.
I like that. I'm like, this is a cool job. That's
It is, and something I didn't even know existed until I got in it. So, like when I mentioned that whole informative piece about being in the industry,
Mhm.
that's learning, right? It's learning about what other jobs exist, what other needs exist. Sports, the industry has evolved so much that there's jobs that I'm like, wow, I would have done that if I was, 5 years younger. But I'm like, what do I look like going to get paid, half my salary just to do it, right? Like, there's so many jobs that are up and coming, that are growing in our industry so much. So it's just knowing a little bit about them.
Yeah, and with that being said, I would say, would you say this is like a dream job for you? Or if not, what is a dream job for you?
Yeah, so I think at a time, definitely. I can't say Formula One specifically. What I don't think like I even said the word Formula One until maybe 5 years ago.
Mm.
But do what I'm physically doing through Formula One is definitely aligned. See that alignment? Aligned with my dream job would be. I think as I grow and I evolve, it shifts a little bit to what the dream job is. And like I said, the industry evolves so much that that also kind of shifts my perspective. But I would say, without putting a title on it, my dream job is to be in some sort of a sports hospitality lane, whether that's continuing to do what I do with Formula One, whether that's doing it for a team, whether it's doing it for an agent, an agency, a player, a former athlete, and just making sure that all of their assets and business endeavors are being utilized in the proper way through hospitality. So sometimes that's the chief of staff, sometimes that might be a VP of operations, or that might be, chief operating officer. It kind of depends on the lane and where I am, and if it's a league, a team, a person, it all depends. But I think as long as I'm doing the work that brings me passion, the titles will come, and at the right time. So it's kind of where I am. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. When it's all said and done, what would you like to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered for showing up in all the ways, the right time, for the right reasons. I think that's something I look for in people a lot of the times. And it's way more than me getting on this podcast and physically showing up, right? Like, I think that's such an underrated, like, character, I guess, characteristic to have, because it impacts people more than what they know. It impacts you more than what you think. And for that, that just means, like, for my family, I enjoy being the person that, showed up when they didn't even ask, right? But like they need you, you know what I mean? Like so and so might need you. They're not going to ask because I'm that person. I'm very big on letting people do what they want to do, right? If you want to come, you'll come. I'm not going to ask you, right? We're all adults. So I take that in high. Like if I can't be somewhere, I love for my presence to be known. I'll send something always. My friends know that, right? Like I have friends who will be like, oh, my due date is such and such. And I'm like, say less, I'm there. She's not going to ask me to come, but like my friend has 2 other kids and she's having another baby. Like I'm going to be there, right? Same way with my clients, like showing up in ways that they didn't even know they needed me to. And that might be having Allegra on stat. I remember I had a client who like always had allergies and she would like come into a hotel and obviously like want to go to Walgreens and have Allegra. Well, like I know that about her. So I'm going to have Allegra in her room before she even has to ask me for Allegra, right? That's me showing up in the right ways. I write down my client's order every time I get it from him. If it's Starbucks, if it's Chick-fil-A, if it's just like a natural thing. That way, if I'm out and we have a meeting and I want to stop at Starbucks, I don't have to call them and say, hey, what do you, I like, hey, I got you your usual, right? I'm showing up in the meeting with her usual. Those are small things that are me showing up for them without them knowing that I need to. So yeah, I would say both in my career and in my work, I want to be known for like, yeah, she was always there. She had my back, like, and I didn't even have to ask her.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I'll say, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Let's see. What is your it factor, right? We talked all about me this time. What's your it factor?
Yeah, my it factor is and I just like you said, it does change, but something that has been consistent with me since probably the age of 21, 22, is I love
Mhm.
to help people. Um, Love to help people. I'm a computer scientist, data analyst outside of being a podcaster, husband, a lot of things, right?
I
But
love that.
biggest
Something I'm
thing,
terrible at is computers. So
no, we can teach you. We can
I
teach
hate
you.
it. Like I don't even want to open up Excel. It like gives me anxiety at work. I'm like, do I have to, please?
Look, that's not in the job description. That's
Right?
not
I'm
okay.
like, y'all said moderately, okay? Like, do I have to do this formula? Gosh,
It's
why
never
won't it do it
bothered
for
me.
me? That's me.
But no, I love helping people. I love hearing people's stories and just connecting with people. And sometimes, like you said, some I have realized since being a podcaster was over five some years now.
Yeah, crazy. You're
Uh,
like one of the OGs though. You're not like, you're one of
no,
the
I'm not
original.
I jumped on and hey, I seen this. I had a lot of people be like, "How did you interview this person? How did you do this?" And I'll be like,
And
"God
you
and
make
just putting
it.
the time in." And then I meet somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody
I
that.
know somebody that knows somebody. You see? Yeah.
But I love to see people tell their stories like the day that's made my week. Like
I
I'm
love
good. Like as far as the podcast, like and that's what I be needing, man. And just hearing y'all stories help me to when it comes out. People always say, "Oh man, take time this," and then every time they come out, they be like, "Dang, that's a good episode, man." Like, look, it takes time to brew this thing up, so that once it comes out, you get the message and you see what people are
Mhm.
bringing to the world. I said that it's a beautiful thing to see our people doing amazing things and seeing all people around the world
Yeah.
do amazing things. So I love helping people and I love hearing people's stories. And most of all, we on earth to help people as much as we can. And something I've been doing since I was a little boy in sports at home, like even from landscaping, different stuff like that. Man, I'll knock a price down to help somebody. So definitely love to help people and love to see what it has done for me and what it ultimately does for them. Because when y'all do make those major accomplishments, I'm making those major. I'm like, dang, she said she was gonna do this and she did it. Oh, she was gonna. Dang, the relationship worked. She okay, cool. Like it's and people. I always text them like you said. It's cool to follow up with people, and people always catch people off guard sometimes. They're like, dang, you really? And I'm like, I wrote a whole book about it. I can't lie. Like I love if I'm a network with you, we gonna build community and it's gonna be genuine. And
Oh
after a
yeah.
while, you're gonna realize that, dang, it's good. I got to do that again. So that's the
Yeah.
thing I love to
And
do.
it's so refreshing when it works like that, right?
Yeah.
Like even as women, sometimes I think I was telling somebody that I was like, I'll like say in my head, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, or oh my gosh, I love her shoes. But I like won't actually say it out loud. So I'm very conscious of now. I'm like, just say it out loud. And then they might
Mhm.
respond with like, oh my God, this is where I got them. We should hang out. And it's like, I'm so glad I told you you were pretty. Or I'm so glad I told you I liked your shoes because you never know what it could turn into, honestly. And if it's nothing, oh well, skin off my back, right? Like you never really know. And I think to your point on just being helping people, I think even doing this helps people more than you even realize because I hearing people's stories is helping somebody who's watching this, right? It could be somebody who wants to be in the industry. It could be another former volleyball player who maybe didn't know what they wanted to do, right? Like So I think just by asking the questions and getting certain people on here, like you're already, that step alone is helping people, right? And it helps us. Like this is so therapeutic for me to talk about like my life and my journey to an extent. Cause I'm always telling my girlfriends, I'm like, we'll all be in a room and I like happily tell my parents and my family, I'm like, I'm the broke best friend in my friend group. And I love that. Like I actually love that about myself. Cause then when I get into rooms, I'll look at them and be like, you guys, how much of a blessing is that like we live in LA, we
Mhm.
all have the jobs that we have, like we live the lives that we live, we're able to do the things that we do. Like it's such a small amount of us that actually get to experience life in the way that we get to experience it. And I think it's such
Right.
a blessing that like when you can sit back and realize that, right? And they're like, no, like you are. And like, yeah, like we'll be in a group chat and like signing up for an event and they'll be like, oh, everyone drop your name and title. And I'm like, do y'all see the titles that we are dropping in this group chat? Like, this is some heat, right? Like, just because I get so proud of them and they're like, oh my God, stop. And I'm like, no, because when you go to certain, other cities or other things to get around people who aren't in these spaces, it is almost like a breath of fresh air. And it's like, we don't actually live real lives out here, right? Like LA is hard, right? Like sports is hard.
Yeah.
You don't make a lot of money in sports. I don't know if people know that or not, but you don't make a lot of like unless I'm on the field,
Right.
right? And
Right. Right. Right.
I don't really know how much money you're gonna make in sports,
Mhm.
right? So like you have to really love this and want it and grind hard for it. So it just speaks volumes for sure.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
One last thing you just made me think about. My wife,
Yeah.
literally, we do these trips every other year for her birthday, and a lot of us do amazing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
All finish school, all that good stuff, and sometimes we be out and we're like, so and so do what? They do what? And it's like, you know what? We're gonna have a seminar. Like we're gonna have them sit up there and introduce and let people know what they do because, like you said, some of this stuff people do or where they live at, it's like mind blowing to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, what? And how many black people there? Like you do
Right.
what?
Yeah.
You live where? You do what? Like so.
I'm like, I can't afford it, but my homegirls damn sure can. And they're gonna take me with them. Okay. They
Hey,
know.
I'm
And
gonna
I'm gonna buy Starbucks on the way, right?
right.
That's gonna be
I
my
got you. Everything else I
contribution.
can take care of that. But you take
Right. I got Starbucks when we roll. No, but for real, it is. It's so motivating, honestly. So I'm just really appreciative and thank you for the time today. This is great. Told you at the beginning, like you are helping me, grow and evolve and take on new challenges that I've been looking to do in this year. So first one of 25, and I'm so thankful that it was with you.
indeed. Look, and we gotta do it again. Have to get you
Yeah,
here
of
in person.
course.
Thank you so much for giving me some time out your day. Uh,
Yeah,
hope you have a great week, great rest of the year, and I'll be talking to you soon.
of course. Let's stay in touch. Come see us in LA.
I gotta pull up on y'all. I gotta pull up.
Yes,
Yeah,
got to.
see what's going on, so you can slide me in there. Just slide me.
Right. I mean, bring the whole crew, right? So
Right.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Yes, and enjoy.
Thank you so much.